As of lately, I started to notice, like, I don't want to call it a trend, but like a trend of black women coming out and publicly saying that they don't desire marriage. But my take on it is that it's not that we don't desire marriage or that we don't want to get married. It's more so that we're not being offered, or the opportunity is not being presented to us. And so as a defense mechanism, we're saying that we don't want that. So why are you staying in this long-term relationship with a man if marriage isn't the ultimate goal? Why would you continue to invest and settle for something that ultimately doesn't make you happy? I would never say that wives don't get the same treatment as girlfriends, because to me, ultimately, it is just a piece of paper in so many ways. I think the most important thing to note, getting married is probably one of the fastest ways to accumulate wealth. It's a piece of paper, it is, but it's a piece of paper that means a lot to a lot of people. And it should mean a lot to you, especially if you're willing to carry a child in your womb for a man.
It's a piece of paper. I see we've been hitting on this, right? Women ain't doing it for love. So she's, it's resources. I would say resources over love. Love is in the room. It's in the room, but more resources is overwhelming. That's the elephant in the room.
So I don't know about, that's a new age term, that marriage is a piece of paper, because really marriage is a covenant. Okay, marriage is a contractual agreement. So I don't understand the piece of paper, like, no. But any relationship I get into, and I say relationship, not just dating or courting, any relationship I get into, I give them 365 days to propose to me. If you're proposing to me or you want to be me outside of that, if you're not trying to make any type of commitment to me, you're wasting my time and my body, and I'm going to keep it pushing. And if you decide to come back, because you will, you better be coming back with a ring. That's just my take. But I love marriage. I love marriage. I will never give up marriage.
I agree. That I don't give, I've never been one to give you a long time to figure out what it is. That also means that you shouldn't just rush into things, right? Because if you rush into things as quickly as you got into it, sometimes you'll get out. But I'm definitely hitting heavy with tyranny. Like, you're not about to waste my time dating me for so long and doing all of this. And it's better that we are like that in 2023, because we need to get back to more traditional ways of doing things. And I'm big on that. But I think the other problem we have too, tyranny, is that traditionalism also equates back to not getting no cootie cat until I got a ring on my finger. And so obviously, tyranny, I'm not super traditional. So I didn't wait until, well, actually, I don't want to get into my personal experiences. So I'm gonna leave it at this. We should be more, women are, it would behoove them, right, to wait to give a man cookie and kitty cat, because that's what he waiting on. So if you wait and you hold him out, or you just super bomb and your personality is like, man, she ain't nothing like anything I ever met. She could have had sex with me on the first night, and I'm still gonna be with her. But a lot of women ain't got that game or that sauce to be able to move like that. And honestly, 95% of them should not, because like they ain't got it. So yeah, I agree. One last thing I wanted to say though, women should actually say that they don't want marriage. It's a smarter move. And I'm gonna say this: be marriage minded and know when you see a husband.
Here's what I'll say. I'll say this, all right? Because y'all been hitting on this all night. Here's the thing: 25% of men are husbands, and 20% of women are wives. But here's the caveat. When we talk about, black folks in particular, I want to say there's 2 million more women than there are men. So just according to this number, right? If there's already 2 million more, and we say there's more husbands than wives, why do every woman think they would get married? I would advocate more for women being honorable side chicks, with some honor though and respect.
What? Stop the cap. Crystal, where the button? Stop the cap. How you gonna be honorable as a side chick? There's no honor in you. Use the side chick. People usually like to just eat the meat without the sides anyway. So if you just a side chick, you just a side chick. Okay, there's nothing honorable. But for all of, can I just say this? For all of the very smart people in the chat talking about, oh my God, but she's divorced. I like marriage, but I don't like idiots. Okay, so I would love to be married, but I refuse to be one of y'all great grannies that stayed with your cheating great grandpa just because she wanted to stay married for 50 years. I call me modern, but I would never do
and
that.
get the house. and get that retirement. And after he died, she lived happily ever after. They have to lift a finger.
Yeah, but you want
And
to live
that
in
so
misery just to have a check?
you
I'm not
say
for it.
misery. You know what? Here we go. Let's get into it. So let's go back to that time. Back in that time, it wasn't the same. The mindset wasn't the same. Back then, a melanated woman was just happy to see her melanated man walk back through the door whole at the end of the day. So back in those days, yeah, racism was still very much true. So when we talking about the melanated community, we got to factor these things in because this was real life. So it wasn't like, oh, my husband been taking care of the Mrs. Widow across town or whatever. It was a different energy. Wasn't no hot girl summer, wasn't no Instagram, wasn't all this stuff being thrown in people's face. People respected life. Now today's bonquishas and nugnugs don't respect life. Back then, your grandma was just happy and elated to see her man walk back through that door whole, because a lot of women didn't get to see that, or they got those cops coming saying, hey, your husband was doing something he shouldn't and he ain't coming back. And there
So
you go. So they respected and honored their men.
So Lamb, I don't know if you've ever met your grandmother or not, or your great grandmother, but if you have, and if she's ever been in this situation, do you think a woman would? Do you think a woman is gonna be happy? I know my husband just messed around with the deaconette at church, but praise hallelujah that he's home. What are we doing?
Okay, so
Ain't
to me,
nobody
okay, I never met my grandmother, but here's what I do know. Here's what I tell you. So, I have my mom's siblings. There was 11 of them. Okay, there was 11 of them in the family, right? So I'm thinking that if her husband or my grandfather went out and did something with someone else, I don't really think that was on her brain because she had a whole bunch of kids to raise. I feel like that it may not even been a concern. It may not even been a thought. I really don't know. I never met her. I never met my grandfather. So I don't know, but I'm pretty sure she was happy because back in the day, what was it? It was like the 1800s, right? When my grandparents were alive and stuff, 19 something. Like, I'm pretty sure they were happy that they made it home. They made it home without anything bad happening to them, at the very least. So that's all I have to say.
Yeah.
I'll say this.
No, that's my point.
I'll say this to that before we pull this next video up. I'll say there was no IG back then, Tyranny. So you painting this picture, you're a prisoner of the moment right now. Back in them days, a lot of the woman may have known, but they would take the stuff to the grave. You wouldn't find out till Big Paul's funeral. And there was no Instagram back then, Tyranny. So it was not as messy as stuff is today. Everything today is amplified.
Okay, let me tell you how they knew. Let me tell you how they knew. Quick song. It's a real song. I heard it through the grapevine.
You stop. No, we don't. You're not singing that.
They heard it through the grapevine. It had to be no IG. Women wasn't that sneaky where, oh yeah, girl. No, they'll tell. Yeah, girl. Johnson over there.
Oh, how do you know this, Tyranny? You weren't live back then. Now this is your emotions now. Like
I got grandparents.
Back then, here's what I'll say. Women back then had duty. So they wasn't sitting around all day doing nothing, collecting food stamps, sitting in the projects, arguing. They was up, they had to actually cook meals from scratch, take care of the kids. They did not have time to focus. Big Paul was at work, bills needed paid. I think a lot of women nowadays got too much time on their hands, and then you add that with the access of internet and all this stuff, IG, it amplifies stuff.
Back then, Tyranny, just real quick. Back then, they were concerned about things like this. My mom would tell me stories about how the white man didn't pay them with money. They would try to pay them with old clothing from their family, and so they struggled. Like, they had real struggle. So I don't know that they were concerned about the infidelity thing. Like, they were just trying to survive for real back then. So that's all I'm saying. Like, they weren't even getting cash. Like,
so they definitely were. And think about it. My grandmother had 5 kids, and you think what her husband was doing out there wasn't on her mind? You guys, hold on. No. We are our grandparents. We are our grandparents. So I'm not sure why y'all talking about, well, my granny was just worried about cooking and cleaning. I don't know what y'all talking about.
Wait,
Come on,
okay.
Lamb. Come on, Lamb.
I think my family's old, so I said my grandparent was born in the 1800s. I'm certain probably like 1890 something. So so I don't know. It's different back then than it is now. That's all I have to say.
What was they doing, Tierney? What was they doing? What else were they doing? What?
Okay, so my great grandmother, she was in slavery and she ended up getting out. But she
going back that far.
She took about my grandmother, she had 5 kids. She had a husband. Okay. You honestly think when he came home late on their anniversary, she wasn't wondering where you been and who you been with. Like, I don't know what y'all mean. We cooking and cleaning. Do y'all know women that's more than cooking and cleaning? Like, I don't get it. I don't know why y'all think we just slaving away and just happy because your black ass came home. No, where you been? Who you been with? Huh? Where you spending money at? Nah, I don't know what y'all tripping.
Tierney, that's fine. You know what? That's Tierney. That's right. Tierney, I promise you, if you up here playing a joke and on Beyonce's internet, that's fine. Tierney, I will wait to see the wedding ring with your goofy self. Keep it up. Keep it up.
Give me 270 more days. It'll be here.
I am. I'm waiting. I got my calendar marked, and if you better produce it, or I'm on you something vicious. Razor blades, lemon juice. I'm bringing out. I'm unblocking some of the wild racers in the chat. Tierney.
Okay.
Tierney, you be interrogating your man like that?
I don't interrogate my man because he hasn't given me a reason to not trust him. But when you start coming home late, not answering the phone, yeah, you're gonna quit. Why? Because I'm pretty. And if my pretty self start doing some stuff like that, you're gonna have a problem with it, right? He gonna have
humble yourself, Tierney. Humble yourself, Tierney. Humble yourself.
Women ain't equal, y'all. You can't do what a man do, so we gotta just stop that right
there. You don't assume he's gonna do that, though, right?
You said what?
You don't assume it. I said you don't assume that he's gonna start doing that, though, right? You don't assume it, or do
yes,
you?
I do. I don't trust $1 to not leave my pocket. Okay, I'm not gonna sit here and put 100 all of my eggs in one basket. No, and he don't fully. Okay, it's okay. Hey,
hold on, wait, y'all gotta help me out. Okay, so help me out a little bit. So I'm hearing I do think I'm gonna say this. I agree with both. I think that our grandparents cared more about I'll say this, Tierney. We were in a time and age, and all of us, where survival was number one. So we had to survive. I couldn't be. First off, which I also don't want to say is Papa ain't have all that time to be out here in these streets. He was trying to get that money into that house so these kids can eat. I don't know if y'all. We should share a video from 1968 in Alabama. Everybody be up here crying, including the men, because resources were so scarce back then.
I'll tell you what, you show a video from 2023 Alabama, we'd be crying. But go ahead.
Yeah. You know what, Gavin, you ain't right. You ain't right. We got some people. But yeah, like when you are in a mode of having men be what a man is and a woman be what a woman is supposed to be, everybody ain't super concerned with where you been, where you coming, and what time you get here. But Tierney is right to a certain extent. Women have always, in our lower nature, we're jealous. Stop playing these games. We got higher nature, we got lower nature. We want to know where you been, and it's some bull. Gavin and Mr. Walker, y'all married, doggone well, y'all start coming in at 3 a.m. She gonna be wondering where you been, including our grandma. So the disrespect is disrespect on all ends. But where you all have a point is that back in the day, women knew their role and who they were. So they didn't have all the time for all the little stupid little stuff that didn't matter. They knew we got to keep this family together. We got to feed these kids. Right now, I can't worry about you and Miss and your secretary, but don't let me find out. She also didn't have a cell phone to where it was in her face so much. And Papa didn't have enough, all this free coochie all in his face. So things have changed.
So we're going to get into it. Pull this next video up.